Kyle here from allmediareviews.blogspot.com. Today I'm going to try to talk about the great Portland, what is it, effect, a trio, Menomena, the reference to Sesame Street. I forget who it was. It was in the 90s maybe? Menomena, Menomena. And of course, and there's also Menominee, Wisconsin, but a city in Wisconsin. But they're from Portland, Oregon. So the first time I saw their name, I don't know, it was 2007 probably, and I just have a memory among the Dredge message board, the Traversing Dredge fans message board, talking about them, and I liked some of the music when someone suggested them, but I didn't fully get into them. But the one thing I noticed, which later kind of became my bread and butter focus with their music, was I loved the piano parts. It reminded me of all bands, Genesis, early Genesis namely. Even though some of the other parts of their music I was sort of lukewarm on at best, the piano parts would give me like goosebumps on some of those songs. But that was right around the time their album from 2007, Friend and Foe, came out. And the song Wet and Rusting, which, I'll just say this, if you don't listen to any other songs ever by Menomena, if you don't like it, just listen to that one song. And, you know, that doesn't represent their music as a whole, but it's a terrific track. It's one of the best songs of the last 20 years. One of the best songs ever written, to be honest with you. It's a pop song, in a sense. But anyway, so I can show my collection, but first talk a little bit about them. So, Rate Your Music, and I'm thinking that this was a demo, because they formed in the early 2000s. Brent Knopf, there's three members. Brent Knopf, who sings and plays keyboards and does a lot, and piano and guitar. And he went to Dartmouth, I guess, and he got an engineering degree, a little bit like Tom Scholz from Boston. So he's got a lot of skills and sort of, you know, ability to work with software and things that a keyboardist would use. I know there's even a video of him, I think it was a video many years back, of him hanging out with Jordan Rudess of Dream Theater talking about keyboard gear and stuff like that. But he's very cerebral. But I don't know if he grew up with the other two main guys, Justin Harris, who sings and plays saxophone and maybe a little bass and guitar, and Danny Syme, who plays drums and sings. I don't know if they grew up together in Portland or some part of Oregon, or they met I don't know. I don't know how they met, but they formed in the early 99, 2000. What does Rate Your Music say? It was 2000. So yeah, Justin Harris does play bass. So, but those three guys are the main core of the band, and they put out something called "Happiness Is Shouting Bingo" in 2002, which it's a demo. It's a demo. They put out a single called "Rose," which is a Brent Knopf song, in 2001. But then they list their first record as "Happiness Is Shouting Bingo." It's a demo. It's not I don't think the band... Anyway, so their official first full-length record was the next year, 2003. I Am the Fun Blame Monster, which, if I'm not mistaken, if you twist around the words, is like an anagram for the first Menomena album. But I have... This is the book copy. There's a bunch of different versions of this album, and you see Brent... I met him, signed, said thanks, Kyle. But the thing that's so cool about this artwork, among other things, their artwork is, I think, well, maybe not. I know there was part of this at one point you could actually see as a cartoon, but I have another version of it. Maybe it's this one that allows you to do that. So, and I consider this a perfect record. There's not a bad song on here. I'll get this out of the way though right now. Menomena are the three-head monster between, you know, Brent Knopf, Justin Harris, and Danny Syme. Each one of them sings lead vocals on what I presume mostly is the song they wrote. A little bit like the Beatles or Crosby, Stills, and Nash, or I was thinking there's some other parallels. King's X a little bit, but King's X is a little more... There's a little more chemistry with the members. So I kind of look at each song, whoever sings the lead, as their song. So Brent Knopf, to me, is the one I've drawn to the most with Menomena. I like the other guys, but his songs have always spoken to me the most. They've had the most goosebump moments. They're not the most, but they're often the most keyboard driven, and I like his voice the most as a singer. But I Am the Fun Blame Monster as a whole, every song works for me. It's very atmospheric. Menomena is a little weird because while they use guitars, they don't like have a primary instrument exactly. They use a lot of saxophone, they use a lot of piano, as I mentioned before, they use a lot of percussion. The drums and the cymbal work are really front and center at times in their music. So Danny Syme is a very unique singer. Maybe this is the one. This is the one I think that folds out. So, and I'm going to be showing some vinyl in a little bit too, but okay. So that, I mean, really, you could say Brent. I don't know if Brent's the only one who drove this, but you know, his ability to sort of create art in very cerebral, quirky ways. And I don't want to ruin this. I know this is sort of the CD's like hiding in here, of course. Anyway, so the best song on this record, I Am the Fun-Play Monster, my favorite song, is the last track, The Monkey's Back. And it's a Brent song. He uses this like Hammond, it's like a Hammond B3 organ or something like that. I hope I'm not going to put this in wrong. But it's just epic. It's very haunting, chill. The kind of the power chords that he uses with the synthesizers, the kind of crawling, creepy sort of, I don't want to call it creepy in a bad way, but kind of crawling synths that almost harken back to something like King Crimson or a lot of 70s prog, really. Camel, maybe, Gentle Giant. Anyway, but I'll say that Rose is a great track. It's kind of a ballad, but that was the other single. Those are the last two songs, actually, on the track list, if you look. And that's also a Brent song. But Cough, Coughing, the late, great Libido, all these, I mean, they have like these energy, some of them, but it's not like, they're very like organic sounding. That's, Menomena's music's always been very organic sounding, but I just found that I Am the Fun-Play Monster, always, constantly I would listen to it, and I would just want to hear the next song after the next song. It's sort of less is more. A lot of their music is less is more, but this is where they achieve less is more the most. So, it's terrific. Came out in 2003. Strongest Man in the World. I mean, it's like, and it's not like, I just, my impressions about Menomena's music, my thing I think about their music, it's quirky, it's experimental, but it's very organic and almost acoustic sounding. I mean, they use electric guitars, but there's so much space in it. It's almost like, I don't know, it's stripped down, but there's always space. It's not overly produced at all. So anyway, that was 2003. So they were touring for that and everything like that. They always got the Sesame Street Menomena comments and stuff like that. But anyway, they put out an album. The next album came 3 years later. And some people, I don't know if they think about it totally in their discography, but it was an all-instrumental record. I don't know if they were kind of partial, because all three singers, I'll say on this record, while their vocals are good, they kind of take a backseat to the instrumentation to an extent. Very, like I said, organic, you know, open sounding instrumentation, very acoustic sounding instrumentation. The sax work, you know, like I said, the percussion, the rhythms, some of the distorted guitars that sort of don't overstay their welcome. They just fit the right level of weight, like what's the word? Amplification, for lack of a better word. But this record, it's the second record they put out, was called Under an Hour, Music for Modern Dance. And it's 3 songs, 3 tracks. They're just like these epic jams of a sort. It's really, you want to call them post-rock. I don't know if I'd really think of Menomena as post-rock. They're closer to, say, math rock, but even that, I don't know. But this is almost more in the vein of like a Godspeed You Black Emperor or a post-rock album. But they're all epics and it flows. It could be for a soundtrack. I just find it funny they had the sticker there with the parental advisories and there's no lyrics. But yeah, you have Brent's keys and piano, and the organ, and you have Danny's saxophone, and I don't know if I can actually pull up the credits for the instrumentation on here. I don't know if it's been listed on Rate Your Music. No, it hasn't. But and I haven't listened to this record in quite a while. It's, you know, whatever it is, it's 3 long pieces. It's 50 some odd minutes, but still a good record. I would like to see them put it on vinyl. I don't think it's been put on vinyl. I haven't looked. Anyway, so that was 2006. So 2007, they released an EP with Wet and Rusting, which is interesting. My Wet and Rusting CD has found a new location, so I'll have to track that down. But here's the case. And the one thing I'll say about it, I just revisited that I found this on Spotify. I'm sure it's on... Wet and Rusting's a terrific single. It's the best song. A lot of people think of them, the most memorable tune. It's catchy. It's so energetic. It's got that lyric, it's It's hard to take risks if you're a pessimist or for a pessimist. But the remix, the sixth and final track on this thing, because this has some extra tracks, the Loaf Deli Tea version, which is just Brent and Danny Syme. It's like Brent doing acoustic guitar, basically, is great. I haven't heard that in a long time. I mean, I have listened to this, but it's been a long time. But I don't think it's better than the original, but it's a great alternate version. It's like an unplugged acoustic version. So then, of course, later that year, and then that came out, what year? October 2006, actually. So I'm actually off. So that was the fall of 2006. But they put out Friend and Foe in 2007, which included, of course, Wet and Rusting. And it includes a lot of other good songs. Now, when I first heard this album, I remember when I got into them, these are the only two full-length albums. I didn't hear the under an hour. I just loved Blame Monster, but this record was like Wet and Rusting, and first and second songs. Wet and Rusting's the third song. That was basically it. Pelican and Muscle and Flow. Those are two Justin Harris songs. But it grew on me. It definitely grew on me. The other Brent songs, Evil Bee and especially My, are dreamy. And I think he also sings a little bit on Ghost Ship, but that's mostly a Danny Syme piece. But Rotten Hell's another pretty excellent sort of epic track, as well as, I was just like, hearting them on Spotify here, but I just have the track list in front of me, because it won a Grammy for the artwork, Friend and Foe, but it's like you don't really get a lot of information. It's just, I think Brent signed that. Air Aid, Boy Scoutin' has a cool piano part. A lot of these tracks, the thing about a lot of the Justin Harris songs, I guess if I had to choose one who's the primary singer, he seems to have the most, or his songs are the most consistent. Like, between him and Danny, I find his songs more consistent. But they're not spectacular, they're just good. He usually has a very good presence vocally. Danny sounds almost like, not like he's asleep, but he always has this sort of sleepy kind of vocal style, which, I don't know, sometimes takes away from the music itself, but that came out in 2007. Then a few years later, I was a fan at this point. They put out Minds, which came out in 2010, which turned out to be the last album with Brent Knopf. But Kill 'Em All, which is the one real token Brent Knopf song on here, that's my favorite song. It's kind of haunting, kind of dreamy at points. It sounds like he's using like a mellotron, but they played that, I think, when they made an appearance. I think it was on Jimmy Kimmel Live. But again, they definitely are very particular with Queen Bike Acid. Taos is a favorite. What's the other one I found to be? Sleeping Beauty is a Brent Knopf song also, but Oh Pretty Boy, You're Such a Pretty Boy. I think that's it. And Boat. Boat is one of the better Justin Harris songs that he's ever done with Menomena. So, yeah, I like Minds. That was the album I was trying to think of the other day when I was making a video mentioning. But I wouldn't necessarily put it at the same... I don't think I like it quite as much as... I don't make it like as much as Blame Monster and, I can't get this back in here. And I don't think it's quite as good, although it's kind of a push as A Friend and Foe, the previous record. Under an Hour I kind of see as an isolated kind of experiment. I don't rate as within their canon. So Brent Knopf left the band because, you look at every record actually, he only has about 3 songs that at least he sings on, and so he wasn't getting all of his songs maybe in. A little bit like Steve Hackett with Genesis. That's why Steve Hackett ultimately left Genesis. And I will talk about his other project that he ended up doing, but I'll just say this. This is the debut album from Ramona Falls Brent Knopf did while he was still in Menomena. A lot of the songs on here that are great were rejected songs for Minds. So, yeah, I'll talk about... I got vinyl to show for Ramona Falls on another video. I can also mention that Danny Syme has done his own project called Lack Thereof, which I haven't listened to in a long time, but I have a couple of their CDs here. One is called Your Anchor, I think I might have an EP of his too. And this one's called, this is a compilation from 1998 to 2008. I don't know if I'll tack this on with Ramona Falls at some point. Like, there's 20 tracks on here, so I think a lot of these were like demos and sort of sound like field recording kind of stuff. I don't know. But, yeah, so then 2012, after Brent had left and was trying to pursue Ramona Falls full time, they released their last record. I don't know if it'll be their final record, titled Moms, which I just revisited some of it, and I remember liking Moms, but it's just the two of them, Justin and Danny. I think they had some other people. One of the guys from like 31 Knots played keyboards. He was on when I saw them on that tour, because I saw them a few times. I'll have to do a video. I know it took me forever to see them. I missed them once for the Faceless. I had to choose, and then the first time I did see them with Brent, I had to skip both Janelle Monáe and Foles. They were all three the same night. I couldn't do the concert jump, but this is what the I don't know, the concept of their parents and their mothers was what Moms was about. This is a little more electronic at points. The first song, Plunge I think it's called, uses like some fat synths that I don't think Brent would have ever used. Yeah, Plumage rather, not Plunge. But Heavy as Heavy Does, Peak are a couple of my favorites on this record. But I guess among their whole catalog it would be at the bottom, just because I think Brent's, not only his own songs, but just the contributions he made to some of the other songs, the keyboard and piano work, some of the guitar riffs. But I don't know, again, some of it, because I don't know if Justin played some guitar on this or not, but anyway, so what I'm going to do is show the vinyl. And I showed this a few months back, and it was back in 2020. I can't remember when, 2019. 2019 it came out, the I Am the Fun Blade Monster vinyl, which it was available originally, and then they were selling it at shows, but I never was able to find it. Like when the 2 or 3 times I saw Menomena, I couldn't find it in stores at half-price books, but it's got that picture of the monster itself. But let's see here, just quickly show this. I don't know if this is oh yeah, that's right. It was like a splatter, like a faded black and white. This is all on Barsuk Records. Barsuk, I think. Oh no, this is Sly Vinyl. Because a lot of their stuff has been released on Barsuk. I think Minds, Moms, and then some of the Ramona Falls. I think, except the last Ramona Falls album. That may have been on Barsuk as well. But this, I guess it's Sly Vinyl that releases. I know this because the original had gone out of print, and I was just really down about that. And there's the second part of it. Yeah, the Monkey's Back is just... Oh, and that's right, this includes the demos. I forgot about side C and D. Because there's actually something that came out called the I Am the Fun Blame Monster demos, which I think I downloaded or I've streamed at one point. They might be on Spotify, anyway, but I don't think I have a physical copy of those. I don't think they came with that CD that I bought, that anniversary. But anyway, so I've got the other two, which I'm pretty sure I found at Half Price Books. Actually I didn't find it. Man, my copy of Friend and Foe's not here. So, 'cause I have it on vinyl. I didn't have it with the others, unfortunately. I'm just going to have to hold off on that. So, but here's my copy of Minds on vinyl. It's kind of a dark album lyrically, Minds. It's weird how they're like the way Justin writes. He just writes like poetry. A lot of their lyrics are just like poetry, or like journal entries. Standard Black. Now that bugs me that I didn't find. I guess I could try pausing this and tracking that down quickly here, because they only have the 5 records, and including Under an Hour. So it's not like they have this vast catalog. That was Moms came out, and I'll show that I have that on vinyl here too. Moms came out in 2012, the same year as the second Ramona Falls record, Prophet. But that's the last thing they've done. Danny, I don't know, he's been posting stuff on... this is still in the shrink wrap. He's been posting stuff... I think I got this in Arizona. But, because I remember it's Barsuk Records. On Instagram, just artwork and stuff like that. And but Justin played with, of all bands, Block Party. I can sort of see the connection there. But, Justin Harris. I don't think he's playing sax though. Maybe he's just playing like bass or something like that. That was at least 4 or 5 years ago. I heard about that because they toured for Moms here. Here's the Moms record. So I haven't even opened this. It's got this sort of glossy finish like a lot of records do. But you know, I mean, Block Party's not. I know when bands are really that. Block Party hasn't done anything in many years. I'm a fan of too, but. You know, Brent, of course, besides Ramona Falls, collaborated with this guy from the National. This project called like LV, EL space VY, and that actually probably got him a lot more exposure. I don't know if a lot of those people caught on to Ramona Falls as a result of it, but if that's going to bring in money. You know, and I, to be honest, I've only listened to like 1 or 2 songs. It got some sort of the play on like our National Public Radio affiliate. You know, the hipsters liked it a little bit, you know, but because it's the guy from the National. So let me do is pause it. So yeah, I finally did track it down. I wasn't like hallucinating the fact the Grammy-winning Friend and Foe vinyl is right here, of course. So. And this is at least offering a bit more than the CD version, but well, it's really the CD version blown up. But I mean, it's like Led Zeppelin 3. That was one of the other comparisons with Menomena. I remember reading about some people saying that Danny Symes' drum work is like John Bonham, and but they're only a 3-piece. Zeppelin's a 4-piece. Yeah, I can't remember this version of Friend and Foe. It's just standard black, I think. Yeah, 180 gram. Doesn't even have the track list. It's got little pictures, of course. There's the happy one, or the friend, and then the foe on the other side. Hence the... The one thing I was thinking about with Menomena, like with Apes and Androids... They're kind of like Apes and Androids West in a way, except they're a 3-piece band, not a 2-piece, but... they're not around again. They're not active now, and who knows when. Oh, that's right. It doesn't come out, but it moves, just like Led Zeppelin 3. You can see the different pictures. You move it around. I mean, the CD version probably does the same, but it moves around. You can see that moving. Interactive, very interactive. I think Brent and the band always wanted to like make things interactive. There's a lot of hidden stuff. There's like mastered. Oh, that's the mastering and stuff. There's a lot of hidden stuff like artwork. It's almost like R. Crumb or Daniel Klaus. Daniel Klaus is a favorite of mine, of artists who did Ghost World and David Boring and a lot of others. Wilson, which started Woody Harrelson, the theatrical version. I'm going to make a video one point soon, probably with all my Daniel Klaus graphic novels and stuff. But anyway, this is the Friend and Foe. But I was just thinking like. Yeah, they were kind of like Apes and Androids West in a way, but I think Small Leak Sink Ships, who's also from Portland, share some qualities in their music with Menomena, although there's a lot of differences. I've always said Small Leak Sink Ships are, you know, are kind of taking or combining elements of Menomena and like Wolf Parade and some other bands, and they're very original too. I love Small Leak Sink Ships. They're like almost my favorite band now, as I mentioned in that video yesterday, but without, it's just thinking without, just kind of like how Anathel's not around anymore, but you have the Family Crest and Typhoon to an extent, making the chamber rock or the Deer Hunter. You don't have Menomena really around too much anymore, really. I mean, maybe hopefully they'll make a comeback or do something at some point, but you do have Small Leak Sink Ships taking the mantle. Or like Apes and Androids isn't around anymore, but you have Eldrin, although you can make the comparisons to say like Tame Impala, but I don't like to sort of compare bands purely, but to me it's more of in a good way. Like, you know, you got bands, a little bit like with Marillion in the early 80s, people said, well, Genesis doesn't make music like this, but you have Marillion making music. So Menomena is not around, but you have Small Leak Sink Ship, the quirky, you know, experimental, post-math prog rock. But yeah, Menomena were a great band, and they didn't really, very much less is more. I wouldn't call their music overproduced at all. It's like the complete opposite of like some of these overproduced Sound War albums, whether it be metal or something else, like the Mars Volta. I love the Mars Volta, but their album Bedlam Goliath to me sounds very overproduced. But at the same time, there's a lot of music is subtle. I would say that they're not that earwormy. I mean, they have melodic. Brent's songs seem to have the most pop elements to them, the most catchy, memorable pieces. Some of the Justin songs are, if I was gonna go to like some of the stuff on I Am the Family Monster certainly qualifies for that. But as a whole, it's really Brent and then the other two. And I just happen to enjoy, and they complement Brent's songs within these records enough. But yeah, no, I really am a fan of this band. Make the joke about the Sesame thing, Sesame Street thing. And I'll talk about Ramona Falls in a future video, but they're also worth checking out if you like Menomena, if you've never listened to Ramona Falls, or you discovered Ramona Falls and you never went back and checked out Menomena. But thank you for watching, give it a like and subscribe, and I'll see you next time.